in some database server, then the data is not persistent. So that will be stored in main memory. So once you are just closing the application or shutting it down, then the data is lost. So if you need persistent data stored, so you have to use database connectivity. There is no alternative, because we are not going to store this data in plain text file system or binary file system. So we have lots of advantage of database management system. So we have to use it. And Swing is used mostly for developing desktop application. Like in my system, if I want to develop an application like I want to design an editor. Okay. So if I want to design an editor like text editor, so I will prefer that the data will be edited on my system. So I will be a client who is going to use this system. Okay. Now, if I am going to design this type of application, it will be installed in my machine. I can share the application with you. You can use it on your system. So that kind of application can be developed. But if we need a full-fledged web application, which will be accessed from anywhere in the world, so that kind of application is generally not developed using Swing. But as I have given one example, I was in that project, there was such requirement because some additional functionalities are there, which cannot be managed using JSP sublet or PHP like this. So you have to understand JDBC in detail. We don't have the scope to discuss JDBC in detail according to your syllabus, but you have to learn it by yourself. Otherwise, you have to learn it later on. You can talk to me, you can talk to any other teacher you are comfortable with. So, but you should have great knowledge on JDBC, because there are different types of JDBC connection. We must use proper JDBC connection according to requirement. Generally, we have 4 types of JDBC connection. Some advantages and drawbacks are there. So we have to choose our proper JDBC connection according to the requirement.
Sir, what would be a good JDBC project for a third year student?
Basically, JDBC cannot be considered as a project. JDBC is a part of your large application. If you want to develop some application or you want to work with data and you want to store this data in system, which will be persistent, then you have to use JDBC. If you have some idea about PHP application, you are going to use MySQLi for connecting with the database server. So if we are using Java application, then we have to use JDBC connection to work with the database server. Even in C programming language, if you want to develop one application in C programming language and you want to store the data, you have to do JDBC connect. You have to do some database connection. That will not be JDBC because the term, its full form, you know the full form, Java database connection. So in case of MySQL connection, PHP MySQL, we are using MySQLi and some other techniques also. So we must know how to use database connectivity with our application, because user will interact with the application interface and actually the data needs to be stored in the system in server. So the data will be stored in database server. Now there are different types of databases nowadays you are familiar with, like relational database and non-relational database or unstructured database. If we have structured data, then we have to go for relational database management system like MySQL, Oracle, DB2, Sybase. These are mostly used. But if you have some requirement or you have to store unstructured data, so unstructured data means I'm giving you some example. Then in that case, you have to use MongoDB or some other NoSQL databases. So what kind of, so for example, what will be the unstructured data? All of you are busy most of the time in Facebook or Twitter. Now, in Facebook, what kind of data is being generated? Is it structured or unstructured?
Unstructured.
Why? Can we explain why it's unstructured? Okay,
Yeah.
Sir,
yeah. Hmm?
sir, if we think about the content of the Facebook, then the different account holder they have some different kinds of post, and we cannot classify this kind of post in a structured database. So, sir, we have to use a non-structured database for this.
Yeah. Just for example, in the morning, I have given a post just saying good morning. It's a plain text. From your account, you are in the morning, you have given a post mentioning good morning in an image. Someone has posted something where it contains a video, but the message is same. It's good morning. Now, with my Facebook post, someone is replying with plain text, someone is replying with some emoticons, someone is replying for using images or videos. If we want to manage this data, then it's very difficult to manage it using relational database management system. So that's why NoSQL databases are used for this purpose. But if we consider account profile information, it's structured, it's well structured. In my profile, what kind of information can be kept? In your profile, the similar information will be kept. Like account holder's name, address, current designation. So the things which are present there, those attributes are fixed. So it can be managed in structured way. So that's why this type of data, if we want to store this type of data, then it can be stored in relational database management system. But if we want to store some data like Facebook posts and its replies, then we need some NoSQL databases.
सर NoSQL databases में तो data manipulation करना easy होता होगा ना compared to SQL databases, SQL databases.
Why?
सर query है सर पूछ रहे हैं.
No, basically we can't compare these things in that way, easy or hard. The technologies are chosen based on the requirement. So nowadays, if you know Java programming language as well as C programming language. Okay. Now, if I say that you have to write a program for matrix chain multiplication, which programming language will you prefer? Java or C? Hello? Any idea? If I want to implement, yeah.
I'll just say C because I've done it in C.
Okay, so do you think that it is easy or hard if you want to implement the same thing in Java? Do you think in that way that it's easy to develop and hard?
It's not hard. If you know the logic, you can implement it in both of them.
Okay, so then you have to think that on which platform it will be executing. So what kind of platform is being used? So based on that, you have to decide that whether I will go for C or Java. If I want to develop, okay. If you want to develop some application like you need an editor. it's a plain text editor. You want to rebuild an application, something like Notepad or Notepad++. Will you implement it in C programming language? If you know Java and
No.
C, obviously, I will not develop this application using C programming language. I will prefer to use Java Swing. Okay. Otherwise, if you are familiar with .NET platform, then we will use Visual Basic environment for developing this type of application. So technologies are chosen based on the requirement. The requirement is not like that. This programming language is easy and hello, Rohit. Okay. And other programming language is hard. So easiness and hardness is relative. So technologies should not be chosen based on that. We should choose a technology based on the requirement where it is being used. So this is the major requirement. Okay, any other query?
Hello.
Yeah, Ritik.
Sir, actually, I have a question. My question is, sir, just like sir, Google Ad Service. I am searching something in Google, and later on, the same type of advertisement are shown me in the websites that I open. So, in that case, is it a structural database or unstructured database, and how it is stored, sir?
No. The things are little bit complex. The things are not so easy. So we may have a discussion in different time, because if I want to discuss the things, then many terminologies will be used in this discussion, and most of you are not familiar with this, like cookies and some other stuffs. So we
Sir,
may have a
sir, when cookies actually, sir, when we are using some web application, then sir, some data is stored from my side, sir. This is cookies.
whether all of you are familiar. Otherwise, we may discuss it later in different time. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Just call me in the evening today, then we may discuss.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So anything else which is related to your course? Okay, let us start this discussion. So probably we, in the earlier class we have discussed. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, array list or vector, sir, both are same, but vector is thread safe. Sir, I can't understand this statement, sir. Can you elaborate it?
Okay. A scenario that we have a collection, so collection of object which is being shared. Okay, we know that thread is basically a lightweight process which is sharing some resource. Now, if we have a collection, like just for example, in our college management system, we have student list. Okay, we have some student list. Now I'm thinking a different scenario where the counseling is being done in our college. So you are not being taken admission through West Bengal JEE or JEE mains like that. So college or an university has its own admission system. Now, what happens here that we are managing a list of students. Okay. Now, my question is whether to develop this application, I will use vector or array list. Okay. The problem is here. Now, during counseling, from that counseling panel, when students are providing his or her information, then students' admission is being managed from there. Okay. So that will be a thread by which this admission process is being controlled. Okay. Now, in different departments, the students are taking admission, and in different departments, the students' information is being updated. Like, just for example, during admission, very basic informations will be taken from you, like your name and your rank, from which exam you have cleared, and your preferred department information. So if you opt for computer science or information technology, or you are choosing electronics engineering, then only this basic informations are needed for the counseling board for admission purpose. Now, when you will go to department, then your detailed information will be taken. So from another thread, your department, some people from your department will update this database. Okay. Now, one object is created for you during admission. So the student list is being prepared from there. Now, the same objects are to be updated from the department by HOD or by some office staff. So when from different threads, we are trying to modify the same collection object, that means the student list. From different thread, I am trying to modify this thread, this collection list. If it's not thread safe, it will create problem. So in that case, if you use array list, it will create some problem. The data will be inconsistent. But if we use vector, then this problem will be resolved automatically. There are some locking unlocking mechanism by which it is being managed. So on the same collection object, if you want to modify the same collection object from multiple threads simultaneously, then instead of array list, we should prefer vector, because array list is not thread safe. Okay, just for another example, if we think of banking system. Okay, in case of banking system, in every branch, if we manage customers account object, so a collection of savings account of that branch. Okay, so whether it will be a array list or vector, we have to decide in that way. So if we have an set of set of savings accounts in SBI, and we are managing it in array list, from your account you are running a business and you have issued lots of checks which will be cleared today. At the same time, your clients are depositing some amount to your account. So if multiple transactions are being performed at the same time, okay, and the other problem is new accounts are being created. Sometimes existing accounts are being closed from that branch. So if we manage it in an array list, then it will create problem. We need vector again, because from multiple threads, the same objects are being shared and it is being modified. They are not only reading the data, sometimes the data is being updated. Your account balance will be updated after every transaction. Number of account object, savings account object in that branch is either increasing or decreasing, because some new accounts are being opened, existing accounts are being closed. So for this type of application, obviously you should use some technique which is thread safe. Otherwise, it will be inconsistent. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you will understand the things in detail when you will learn JSP and Servlet. Okay. Let us resume the class. What we have discussed in the last class, probably singleton design pattern.
Factory pattern.
Okay. And another pattern is this one, abstract factory pattern. Okay. Just to discuss a little bit more on this topic, basically design patterns are used in three different ways. So we can classify the design patterns in three types. One is creational design pattern, another one is behavioral design pattern, and structural design pattern. Remember this thing, creational, then another class is behavioral, and another one is structural. Okay. So what is creational design pattern? So creational design pattern is mostly related with the term create. Okay. Like in singleton design pattern, we are creating a class. Now for this class, multiple objects cannot be created. Only one object can be created. Okay. So only one object of this class can be created and it may exist in your system. Multiple objects are not permitted. So it's a singleton design pattern. So it's a creational design pattern. Now in the earlier class, as we have discussed, that another class is abstract factory pattern. So what is abstract factory pattern? So abstract factory pattern means, as we have discussed earlier, that some input will be taken. Based on that, the output will be generated. So in our banking system, we may create an abstract factory pattern for creating the account objects. Now, when using this factory pattern, we will create one object. Then it will receive the account type as parameter, like it will receive savings account as account type, or salary account, or car loan account, or education loan account as account type. Now, based on the account type, it will create the corresponding object. Okay. So it will create the corresponding object based on that account type. Okay. So this one is abstract factory pattern. So abstract factory pattern is again related to creation of the objects. So it's creational design pattern. Okay. Now, if I give you some example on behavioral design pattern. So iterator design pattern, I will discuss it today. So iterator design pattern is an example of behavioral pattern. Okay.
सर abstract factory pattern नहीं होगा आज?
Obviously, I will discuss. I'll discuss abstract factory pattern. And I will also discuss iterator pattern from behavioral design pattern class. Now, just for example, I'm giving you some example of different types of patterns so that you can understand that how we are classifying it. And another one is a structural design pattern. In structural design pattern, in most of the cases, we prefer adapter pattern. Sometimes we prefer proxy pattern. Facet pattern is used in large application development many times. So these are the example of different types of design patterns. Okay. Now I will start with the abstract factory pattern and then I will come to iterator pattern today. Okay. Oh, I have not shared my screen till now. Okay, we have already spent more than half an hour. So I'm giving you some example from my earlier written code. I'm not starting it from the beginning. Just I'm giving you some example, because if I want to start writing the code, only one pattern can be completed in this time, in remaining time. Okay. So let me show you that this is abstract factory pattern. It's the simplest example you can understand. That here I'm going to create one pattern, like say in my application I want to create a shape. Okay, so what kind of shapes can be? Circle, then rectangle, then square shape. So these are the different types of shapes. Okay, so if we have different types of shapes, how it can be created? So from I'm going to main program, so that you can understand how it will be done. This is the main program. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if we have different types of shape, what we can do with this shape? So if we do not use any pattern, then directly how it can be managed? So we can manage it like if we have a shape circle. Okay. So circle shape, we can create an object of circle shape. If we have another class rectangle shape, then rectangle object shape can be created. So rectangle shape object can be created using new operator. But in this way, if we introduce a new shape in our system, like in banking system, we may introduce new types of account. So if we introduce a new account type, then it will be difficult to manage, because many here we have to update the code. Okay, so how this abstract factory pattern is being used? So here, just example, we are creating a class factory producer. So initially we have different types of shapes. So the shapes means this one. So it's a circle shape class which implements this shape interface. So draw method will be written in this circle shape class. So draw method is declared in shape interface. So it should be defined in this class. Now, similarly, rectangle shape, it is implementing the same interface shape. So it will also define this draw method. And similarly, the next one, square shape, which will implement shape interface again. So we have defined three different types of shapes: circle, rectangle, and square. Okay. Now we are creating a class, sorry, interface printer. Okay. So if we have another interface printer, then we may have something like paper printer, screen printer, web printer, like this. Okay. So these classes, this printer, different types of printer classes also implements printer interface. So you can find the similarity between these two. We have different types of shape class. We have different types of printer class. Any problem here? We have different types of shape classes. We have different type of printer classes. Okay. Now we are creating a factory class. So abstract factory, this class contains two methods. One is getPrinter and getShape. So when we will call getPrinter, it will take printer type as argument, like circle, rectangle, and circle, rectangle, and what was another thing? Okay, something is there. So the shape type will be taken as argument by this getPrinter. Now getShape, it will receive shape type. So printer type and shape type, these things will be taken as argument. Okay, and what will be returned by this method? So getPrinter will return you a printer object. GetShape will return you a shape object. So if I have a class abstract factory as mentioned here, so if I call this method getPrinter, it will take printer type as argument and it will return the corresponding printer object. Similarly, getShape will take shape type as argument and it will return shape object, okay, of the corresponding shape. So this is the abstract factory class where all the objects can be created. Okay, now this is the logic. So if we need this getShape method, so this getShape method, so this getShape method needs to be defined. So we are creating a shape factory class. In this shape factory, it is inheriting this abstract factory class. So this getShape method will be defined here. Similarly, getPrinter method can be defined here. As it's shape factory, that's why we are defining this getShape method and we are keeping this getPrinter method null. Okay. Now in getShape, if shape type is null, what will happen? If shape type is null, so it will return null object, nothing will be returned. If shape type is equals with circle, then it will return circle shape. If shape type is equals with rectangle, it will return rectangle shape. If shape type is equals with square, it will return square object. So this getShape method, this is very simple logic. It's not a difficult one. So we are defining a method. Now this method will take the shape type as argument and the corresponding object will be created. So if it receives shape type circle, so it will create new object circle shape and it will be returned. If you want to create rectangle shape, then new rectangle shape will be created and it will be returned. And what is the return type? Return type is shape. That's why at the very beginning we have written the interface shape. This shape, because if we have this interface shape, this shape reference can be used to hold any type of shape object. If we do not use this interface, then this method cannot be defined. I think you understand that. If we want to define this method getShape, then what will be the return type? If it's circle shape, the return type needs to be circle shape. If it's rectangle shape, return type needs to be rectangle shape. But if we want to create one method which will return any kind of shape, then using interface reference, we can return it. So new object is being created and using, as they are implementing the same interface. That's why it can be returned by mentioning this return type as interface name. Similarly, if we create printer factory pattern, so printer factory inherits abstract factory class. Now in getShape, as it's a printer, that's why getShape method will return null. And in get printer method, we will take type of printer. So if it's a paper printer, new object will be created of this class paper printer. If the printer type is the type of this printer is web, then we will create an object of web printer class. If it's screen, we will create an object of screen printer class. Okay. Any doubt up to this? So we have created different types of shapes. We have created different types of printers. We have created one printer factory. We have created another shape factory. So printer factory is responsible for creating the printer objects. Shape factory is responsible for creating different types of shape objects. Okay. Now we need to define this producer factory. So this producer factory will take this choice. So if choice is equals with shape, then shape factory will be created. If the choice is equals with printer, printer factory will be created. Okay. So from main method, we are going to create abstract factory object using factory producer. Okay. Now, using factory producer, we are creating this abstract factory. Now, if it receives shape as parameter, then it will go to this abstract factory method get factory. So first, we need to get the factory type. Then, after receiving the factory type, the corresponding objects can be created. That's why it's abstract factory. Is it little bit difficult to understand? Hello? Is it hard
Yes.
to understand?
Sir, can you once explain the difference between a factory and abstract factory pattern?
Okay. Try to understand from main method. We have different types of factory. In our application, we have two types of factory. One is printer factory, another one is shape factory. So printer factory and shape factory. So can you create a shape using printer factory, or can you create
Oh, sir.
hello?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, I was not audible.
No, sir.
Mm.
Okay. Probably I had some issue in network. Okay. So in abstract factory pattern, what happens? We are creating an abstract factory. So the factory type is not being mentioned at the beginning. Okay. The factory type is not being mentioned at the beginning. So here in this example, we are creating an abstract factory. Now, this abstract factory, using this factory, if you say that I need a shape, so its corresponding shape factory will be returned. So using this factory producer, it will return you shape factory. If you ask for, as in line number 16, you can see, using the same factory, if your return type is printer, then it will return printer factory. So in our application, we have two different types of factories. One is printer factory and another one is shape factory. So by mentioning the factory type, first we are getting the corresponding factory. Then after getting the corresponding factory, now this factory, based on the factory name, you can call. If it's a shape factory, then you can ask for what kind of shape do you want. Just like booking something or purchasing something from any shop, or like in food delivery service. So first they will ask for what type of food do you want. So do you want pizza, or do you want biryani, or something else? So in first level, you are selecting what type of item do you choose. Now based on that, now they will give you some option that based on this, what will be the next level of selection. So here we are doing the similar type of things. So first we are asking for, do you want shape factory or printer factory? If you say that in our requirement, I need a shape factory right now. So I will pass shape as parameter. So this factory producer will produce a shape factory object, and the shape factory object will be returned. Similarly, later, if I need printer factory object, so get factory printer, this parameter is being passed, so it will return a printer factory object. Okay. Now after getting this shape factory or printer factory, now if you say that I need, in case of shape factory, what are the options? So in our application, we have three options: circle, square, and rectangle. So what type of shape do you want? So based on that, it will return, it will call the same shape factory, and it will return you the corresponding object. So if you want to get an object of square shape, then you have to pass square as parameter to get shape. After receiving this parameter get shape, now it will return you the corresponding shape. So it will create a square shape object, and that will be returned. Okay. Similarly, in the next part, in case of printer factory, if we say that I need an web printer, so the corresponding web printer object will be created and it will be returned. So we have an abstract factory class. So abstract factory is being used to manage different types of factories. We are using it for managing different types of factory. So we are creating a single abstract factory class which is responsible for managing different types of factories. So if you mention in factory class that what type of factory do you expect, then first it will return the corresponding factory type. Now using corresponding factory type, you can do your job. Just for similar type of example in real life, You are familiar with this, that there are some consultancies. Lots of consultancies are there. So if you go to that consultancy, they will ask for what kind of consultancy do you want. Like if I say that at Chingrighata, there is a consultancy firm and they are providing consultancy on different types of topics. Okay, now you have some problem like, okay, that consultancy firm is providing services like civil engineering related job, like building plan and some related things. Now they're also providing some consultancy like recruitment in different types of service sectors. They're also providing some consultancy on career counseling. Okay, so if I consider that there is a firm which is providing these three different types of services. So this firm is a generic firm or abstract firm because they are providing different types of services. Now, if you ask for career counseling, then the person who is sitting in the front desk, the person will not do that for you. What he will do? So he will create an instance of the respective service provider. So this firm is an abstract factory pattern at this moment. Now, if you need career counseling, you will send you that go to this room, and in this room, this type of service is being provided. If you ask for civil related things, then the person will send you to another room. Okay, so abstract factory means different types of factories are being managed by a single factory. So this single factory is factory producer. So this factory producer will create corresponding factory objects. Now the respective factory objects have their methods to create individual objects. So the appointments will be allocated to the customers by the civil department or career counseling department or placement department. Okay. So these are the things generally which is used. These are the context which is used in designing an application using abstract factory plan. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Whether this example is clear?
Yes, sir.
So in a banking application, as in most of the classes we have discussed on this. So in a banking application, we may have two types of factories. One is loan account factories. Another one is deposit account factories. Okay. So one class needs to be defined there, which will work with both of these factories. So there will be an abstract factory class. So if you ask for loan account, then in bank, you will be sent to one department. If you ask for deposit account, you will be sent to some other person. So different types of factories are being managed by this factory pattern. Okay. Now, if you ask for home loan, then first you have mentioned that you need a loan account. That's why you have one loan account factory class has been written for you. Now, if I ask for fixed deposit account, so fixed deposit factory object will be returned to me. Now, for you, as it's a loan factory, so using loan factory, now you have to mention that what type of loan do you want? Is it car loan, home loan, education loan? So if you say that I need an education loan, then an education loan object will be created for you. Okay. So by collecting the minimum required information, an education loan object will be created. For me, if I want to create a fixed deposit account, now initially when I have asked for deposit account, so I have been returned one deposit factory pattern. Now using deposit factory pattern, now I will mention my details and I will say that I need fixed deposit account. So one fixed deposit account object will be created for me. So this is the concept of abstract factory pattern, and it is used in many object-oriented design projects. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so time is probably over, so I will call you later. Okay, and someone, I think it was Rohit or someone else.
Yes, sir, Rohit.
Okay, if you have some queries, you may call me in the evening. Okay. Okay, fine. I have taken your attendance. Okay, you may join in next class. Yeah, bye.